on the track, boys.
And we are live once again this Wednesday evening. Hola, bienvenidos, bonjour, konnichiwa, guten tag to all of my international folks around the world, and for those of us here in the States. And welcome to another rendition of Los Lobos de la Lucha, your weekly CMLL review show here on BC WrestlePod. My name is Mikey, also known as El Jefe, around these BC WrestlePod parts. And of course, joining me this evening once again is my partner in crime, mi novio, all the good stuff is Papa Oso himself. So the two of us are here once again to review another exciting Viernes Espectacular. But I also got to point out we have our unofficial third co-host in the chat as always in Agent Lo-Fi. Saludos, primo. Very happy that you are here, hermano. And yeah, this is gonna be a fun show to review, and I'm really excited for this Friday. But more on that when we get to the preview and what's coming up this Friday for Viernes Espectacular. But before we get into the magic that is Lucha Libre goodness, we have to do the housekeeping, so to speak. So however you found us on the internet, whether it was through YouTube, Twitch, or Kick, whatever made you decide, hey, I want to see what these wrestling nerds are talking about, we thank you, and we appreciate any type of engagement that we can get. So if you like what you see here and you want to stick around for a little bit, you can follow us on those three sites, whether it is your favorite streaming or video watching platform. We support you either way. However, we also know that time is a finite resource in these days, especially in the year that is 2025. But you might wonder to yourself, hey, I can't commit to watching these full live streams or edited reviews, but I want to still stay engaged. How can I go about doing that? Well, random person on the internet, I'm glad you asked, because you could still engage in our community and with us hosts as well, because literally there's 14 of us, so you're going to get a response in some capacity. But you can follow us all over the social medias at BC WrestlePod, where we do report cards for the weekly shows and the pay-per-views and the special events. Clips will be coming back very shortly in the next few weeks. And, we do some other fun stuff as well on the social medias, which is a lot of fun. But if you want to, support us financially in a weird way and you want to represent us everywhere you go, we also have some merchandise available to you. So you can go ahead and go and buy yourself something nice. We got review merch for all of our review teams. We also have our summer collection, which is coming to an end very soon to make room for our fall collection. And then we have our charitable organization collections with our pride and anti-fascism campaigns, where part of the proceeds of those two lines will be donated to Point of Pride and the California Youth Immigration Justice Fund, which is very important as well. Ancient Lo-Fi, you're like, bullshit, you tune in live or pay the price. Hey, I mean, catching us live is really great, but we want you to support us whatever you feel comfortable with. Also, if you should probably check us out live because it's crazy and it's a lot of fun. But if you want to get yourself the merch, you can link in the description of our videos below, as well as in the chat. That is BC WrestlePod merch. It was BC WrestlePod shop.fourthwall.com. That is BC WrestlePod shop.fourthwall.com. All right, now that I got all the pleasantries out of the way, let's rip into this one. Just kidding. We are going to talk about this past Viernes Espectacular that took place on Friday, August 22nd in Arena, Mexico. And we kick things off with a fun match here. Of course, we get our opening match, which is a trio match that sees the likes of Alexias, Blue Shark, and El Vigía taking on Calavera Jr. 2, Calavera Jr. First, and Troglodita. So again, some of these folks are from our Torneo de Escuelas, so as well as teaming up with some of the regular folks that we see here. And again, I sound like a broken record every week, but the opening match every Viernes Espectacular is extremely important because it's going to help the energy and the flow to the show. And dare I say, once again, loved this match. This was fun. Every time we get to see our Torneo participants be popping up regularly on the CMLL is great. And thanks to Agent Lo-Fi and his extensive amount of Lucha Libre, news and whatnot, the fact that the Torneo guys are technically a permanent fixture now of CMLL is great, and I loved it. So, of course, this was a standard una caída, so one fall match. Of course, after some back and forth, after the dust settled, Calavera Jr. 2, Calavera Jr. 1, and Troglodita ended up beating Alexias, Blue Shark, and El Vigía. So, Papa Oso, I'm going to come to you, as you are the only person here besides me and Agent Lo-Fi. What did you think of our opener match between some of our Torneo Escuela guys?
I liked it a lot. Of course, the Calaveras are in this, and I love seeing them. So I was really excited that they were in this one as well. I mean, we've been seeing a lot of them lately, and I'm really kind of loving that because they're just so good. I thoroughly enjoy watching them. So I don't know. I love this match. I thought it was a pretty solid opener. I don't. Some of these folks I've never seen before. I'm trying to think of who. Like most of them actually. I don't think I've ever seen. Alexius, Blue Shark, El Vieja. Yeah, I think everyone except for the Calaveras. They're all new to me, and I really enjoyed this whole match. It was really good.
No, 100%. And again, kind of having Agent Lo-Fi chime in here too. It's really, really fun seeing, the Escuela guys and, be a part of this. And like most openers, he did wish that there would get more time, which is also a big, downside, especially with our opening matches with the Escuela guys, that I wish we got the more time. And you know what? I kind of agree. The Technicos could have got a little bit more shine, but he also chimes in with the other comments saying that the Calaveras are going to be a top Rudo team in CMLL. Mark my words. And I kind of figure as much, especially because we've been seeing a lot more of the Calaveras the last month or two in CMLL getting that push. So again, this was a fun opening match. I do wish it was a little bit longer, but a fantastic way to open up the show. And, we kept that momentum train going, so to speak, with our next match, which was our Amazonas match for the evening. Of course, this was a relevo sencillo de Amazonas a dos caídas. So this is 2 out of 3 falls. And we had the team of India Suhi and Princesa Suhiet. Please forgive me if I am not saying that correctly. Taking on the Greek goddesses themselves, as I have dubbed them, in Olympia and Hera. Man, this was a lot of fun as well. Again, I sound like a broken record, but this was our only Amazonas match that we got this episode, but that is okay because everybody else is out here traveling the world, popping up in other promotions this past weekend and then some. But again, this was a traditional 2 out of 3 falls match. So after, after after tying it up, ultimately it would be the team of India Sweet and Princesa Suhuit defeating Era and Olympia in this one. Papa also, as a connoisseur and our proponent for all things women's wrestling in general, but specifically here in CMLL, Las Amazonas, what did you think of this tag team 2 out of 3 falls match?
It was fantastic. It was just, I know all except for one. I've seen. At least I don't think I know Princesa I don't know how to pronounce the last name. I'm so sorry. I don't think I've seen her before. I'm trying to remember if I've seen her before, and I can't.
I know she's popped up before, but it has been like a hot minute since Princesa has been here. But she usually is teaming up with India as much as she can.
Okay.
But also, it's the same thing. It's been a while. It's been a hot minute since we've seen India too.
Right. No, absolutely. But I mean, she was killing it. I was like, wow. I don't know who you are. I didn't know who she was, but man, it made me want to know more about her.
Well, definitely.
She was so good.
Exactly. And adding a little bit of insight from Primo Agent Lo-Fi, Sue Wheat is a legend, so she's been in this business forever, it seems, but she's also been in and out with injuries, though, so that's probably why we haven't seen her too much recently. And he comments in saying that this was a solid match, but again, because of that legendary status, Sue Wheat really killed it in this one.
She did.
Which is so damn good. Like, it was so good. I love it when the legends are able to show up and show out because, again, not to compare CMLL to the Americanized, our American companies, but like usually in American wrestling, especially the major US promotions, it seems that when we get our wrestlers to be legendary status, it's like they can't go as much as they can, which is, they are getting older, bodies change and all that. But I was like, I don't know what's in the water in Mexico, but that CMLL training for both the men's and the Amazonas division be like, we got women out here wrestling like they are in their prime still. And it's crazy. I was just like, also, I don't know what kind of medical they got over in Mexico, but I'm like, sign me up if that means I can wrestle like any given day of the week like this, like faux real. But again, after a back and forth and 2 out of 3 falls, it would be the team of India and Princesa who would pick up the victory. So please bring them back. I want to see more of these 2. And actually, bring all 4. Like, I want to see more of these 4. So, and we won't have to wait because if my memory serves me correctly, October is around the corner. And October is where we got all of our Amazonas fixed for the women's wrestling for the whole entire month leading into the Women's Grand Prix. So hopefully we get that info very soon of when we're getting the Amazona Grand Prix. But now we leave our Amazonas this evening to get into our third match of the evening. And my God, what a lineup. And this match was a fun as well. So once again, this is a, but this... a dos caídas, I believe. Yeah. So this was a relevo australiano match. And again, we are gearing up for the Grand Prix. So the next few matches have featured a lot of folks that are going to be participating in this World Grand Prix, which I'm excited about. So, of course, in this match, we have Futuro, Max Star, and Hombre Bala Jr. taking on what I have dubbed La Equipo de Japón, so Team Japan, if you will. In New Japan Pro Wrestling's The Bone Soldier, Taiji Ishimori, our lovable older gentleman, Okumura, and my new favorite this year, Utani. My God, as soon as I saw this group, I was like, yes, I'm excited. And this match did not disappoint me either. This was a blast to watch. Listen, we know that the CMLL guys are going to always bring it, but there's just something very cool when you mix the lucha libre style of CMLL, but also of your, tenets and pillars of Japanese wrestling, especially strong style in that way. Man, Taiji Ishimori fits so well in CMLL, and I was just like, this was such a freaking blast. And by the end of it, of course, it would be Team Japan to pick up the victory here. So Ishimori, Okumura, and Utani pick up the victory over Futuro, Maxstar, and Hombre Bala Jr. Agent Lo-Fi coming in with the agreement that this match was a blast. Exactly what I expected from this group, which is great. And you know what? I agree too. I'm so happy for Utani earned his spot here in CMLL for sure. Papa also, let me hear you. What did you think of this match?
I loved it. I love any time that the Japanese style comes into lucha libre. It's just so neat because the styles are so different, and it's so neat to watch them work both for and against one another. And of course, Okamura is in this, and I love Okamura. Anytime he's in the ring, I'm there for him. Because again, this whole idea of the generational wrestling is just because I'm a theater person, and I know, and like kabuki and no theater are kind of some of my favorites, and it's that idea of that generational art form, and this really reminds me of that, and it's just so cool to see like these sort of like older men and women fighting alongside the younger generations, and it's just so neat, and it's such a respect, and it's just so cool. You mentioned earlier about the legends and American style wrestling is like once you hit legendary status, you basically are put to pasture. I mean, honestly, and it's so sad because we in the American side of wrestling, we see age as a bad thing. And plus, well, we could get into that all day, but anyway, I hate that because there's so many good wrestlers on the American side of wrestling that are aged out that are still good. I mean, they're still good, and I love seeing like Okamura and like Gran Guerrero and Ultimo Guerrero and all those older men who have spent their lives, their legacies here, and they're still going.
Well, I mean, we can't. I mean, it's our show, so we can do whatever we want. Because you do bring up an interesting point that I want to talk about too, and I feel like it's not just in professional wrestling, but I feel like in any form of at least sports. Again, I'm not the biggest sports person outside of wrestling, so I don't follow the footballs and the baseballs and the soccer and like all these other sports because wrestling is my thing, right? But um, Ancient Lo-Fi is probably thinking the same thing. Yeah, I could definitely go on an ageism in the USA, right? But again, it's our show, so let's talk about it a little bit because I kind of feel that I think let's just do it. So for me personally, and Will, I'm not saying this because you are my elder statesman, you are for me, but you are I won't say old, but you are more seasoned in life than I am. But I kind of feel that in American culture in general, like not just in wrestling, but I feel like in sports and actually any facet of any type of, subsect of society, whether it's like, the entertainment industry with like actors or even theater, is like when people hit a certain age here in the States, we just age out because everyone's looking for the new hottest thing. And it's kind of weird of how much our culture has kind of impacted that. Whereas you look at around the world, and I will speak for the culture in Mexico, it's not like that. And in fact, you got people not just in wrestling, but you got people in all facets of life. Like, there's no such thing as aging out, and I just I don't know exactly, and I can't pinpoint when or why American culture is like that. I don't know if it's because it's like an individualistic thing. I don't know. Well, maybe you can help me kind of figure this out, because like I'm at a loss, because I'm like, our country's weird like that. I don't get it.
I blame the 1980s for everything that's happened since. When the
Interesting.
1980s happened, the country, the U.S., turned
Mhm.
to it became a very sort of shallow, very self-centered, very youthful. It was all about being young. Everything, you had to be young looking. You had to, uh, everyone had to be physically fit. Everyone, that sort of thing. It was all in the 80s. The 80s, it's when it all happened. And that idea, because prior to that, older people were doing their thing well into, their sort of 60s, 70s, their golden years. When you hit the 80s on, after the 80s, you sort of see that idea of retirees. Um, the older generations are basically like, get out of the way. The younger generations are on their way up, and it all happened in the 80s. That's because, yeah, and you're absolutely correct, because in the 80s capitalism was at its height,
Mm.
and that idea.
Sorry.
Fair enough. um so when we look at, now I will say, like, for theater, it's different for theater, because we revere our older actors, because they're good, they're experienced, we look up to them. um But if you look at, like, the film industry, it's completely different. You have to be youthful, and the next big thing, and that's why we've stopped. You don't see as many movies with, like, like Meryl Streep and these sort of, like, amazingly well trained older actors. We've gotten to this. Everyone has to be youthful and young and whatever. But in sports, when we go into sports like football, baseball, things like that, see, they look at football, baseball, because of the physicality of it. They think, oh, well, once you reach, a certain age, you can't handle it anymore. It's, oh, we're doing this for you. And which I hate, because there are some, I mean, I'm 53 going on 54. And there are some 60, 70-year-olds that are far better in shape than I am, that could literally, like, run circles around me. And I think it's ridiculous that just because you hit a certain age, you're seen as unpopular or of no use anymore. And we see that a lot in wrestling. But I will also say this, though, going kind of off ageism, but going into the actual sport itself. In other countries and other companies around the world, and especially looking at, like, say, Lucha Libre and New Japan and those sort of things, where they are doing, like, these sort of, like, acrobatics and gymnastics, and flying in and out of the ring onto the floor, and this, I mean, that and everything. And then you see American style wrestling, where we're not it's not as graceful here. We're not flying and launching that, but we're tossing people. It's a very physical thing. America is far more, like, violent than, like, say, Lucha Libre. And even though it seems kind of like, ooh, but it's not. And I think, because, and I want to give credit to, like, Lucha Libre and New Japan and all those people, how they train their artists, their wrestlers, to be safe. Like, we're going to teach you how to do this, make it look absolutely gnarly, but you're safe. And yeah, some accidents happen, and that's just the way it is. But in like American style wrestling, it doesn't feel like that. It literally is like, we want you to push yourself as hard as you can, take as many licks as you can, break your body down. Like, basically, your body's not important. The show is. And I don't feel that in other countries wrestling. I feel that your body is very important because, one, it's your moneymaker. So you want to take care of it. And so when I look at people like Okamura, who I can't remember, we looked his age up and I can't remember what it was, but I'm like, at his age in America, he would absolutely not be doing this. He would have been like aged out long time ago. Because if we look at American wrestling, and I'm going to use Tommy Dreamer as an example, I mean, he came back and was trying to do, and it was just like, dude, you destroyed your body. You let the company you worked for push you to allow you to destroy yourself. And that is why. And I think that and I may be completely wrong, but that's why I think other wrestling folks, like other countries, they don't push their wrestlers to destroy their bodies, because I think they understand the importance of the body being there. That's what people are coming to see. It's like, we want that. And it's just, and I think it also, and again, I could be absolutely wrong, but I think that, like, the folks in Japan and Mexico and even in Europe, I think they have a higher respect for the art of wrestling, as opposed to in America, which is very much about butts and seats, ticket sales. I mean, and I don't think it's necessarily that in Mexico, Japan, whatever, because I mean, I would pay good money to go to a luchador event just because of the culture of it. I want to experience that, so I'll pay money to go see it, as opposed to yeah. And I love that. And see, that's what I love about that. But see, here, they'll bring in, like, I remember, what was it? Oh, darn it. I can't remember. My brain, I'm old. When they bring in the legends, these legendary wrestlers, but they don't bring them in just to parade them around and that's it. Okay, go away now. They bring them in to fight, and I love that. And I hope, like, people like Okamura, I hope they're there for many more years. I hope they do it for many years as it will allow them to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wish American style wrestling would take that example and be like, look what we could be, something huge. We could be a culture here, as opposed to a price tag.
No,
Because I don't think
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we have a wrestling culture here.
Mm.
So that's my soapbox.
No, and again, like I said, I mean, yes, we review wrestling here on a nightly basis here at BC WrestlePod, but I think it's moments like these is just like, it's our show, and we're reviewing CMLL, but again, we're looking through wrestling from an international lens, and again, like all the things that you said, Papa, also, like, you're absolutely right. And again, I definitely have now been intrigued to look more into this and to potentially create something from it. But yeah, and then Agent Lo-Fi over here, Okumura has got a perma gig at CMLL. He's one of the main guys that they use for New Japan stuff, translating and whatnot, which is also a new thing too. Like, not only do we get to see him wrestle in the ring, but he provides a lot of help backstage too, and connecting these companies together, which is great. I mean, heck, that's why we have tight well, Taiji's going to be in the Grand Prix, but this is why we have New Japan guys coming over to participate in this Grand Prix coming up this Friday. So all to say is that I am very appreciative that we here at BC WrestlePod have been given such a really fun opportunity to kind of, thanks to, and I'll say this, I have to give credit to one of our other hosts, Adolfo. Like, he's the one that got me and Will into CMLL, and now we're hooked on it because of the fact of this international lend has given us a bigger appreciation for the art form of professional wrestling that the Americanized federations are missing. So Adolfo gets his flowers for this one. And again, it's these international, brands that also allow us to connect. Like Agent Lo-Fi is like one of our favorite homies of the channel and is like friends with us and is here. So all to summarize is, like I said, Taiji, Okamura, and Utani do win. But yeah, I feel like conversations like this need to happen. So let's get back on track with the review really quickly. Before we get into our next match, a little word from an ad break. So if you are new to BC WrestlePod and you want to know how you can, get in on the action, we are on Instagram, Blue Sky, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Kick. We have merch. We also have a Patreon, and coming to a internet near you, we might have a BC WrestlePod coffee. So now that we're done with the ad break, back to the good action. Yeah, Adolfo speaks such truth. Lucha is better than everything. Yeah, I miss Adolfo. Well, Adolfo has earned his break, but I'm excited for him to come back in a couple of weeks for Aniversario, so he'll be back in time for that. But let's move on with the show because we get into our fourth match, which is a Relampago match. So obviously, for those of you who do not know, a Relampago match in CMLL is a kind of higher paced match, or at least it should be, and you have a 10-minute time limit to make your opponent tap, submit, or you pin them. Otherwise, it ends in a draw. And this time around, of course, we have CMLL's own Esfinge, the thick thighs that save lives, and that mask be looking fire all the time, taking on MLW and one half of our tag team champions in MLW, and Mr. Donovan Dijak. I'm like, damn, I forget how tall Dijak is, but I was like, him and his feet next to each other. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what's going to happen. These are about to be two giants fighting for my entertainment. And I was thoroughly entertained. How do I put this nicely? Dijak, I know, is not necessarily like, don't let his size fool you, because man can be quick when he wants to. And I enjoyed this for what it was. I was like, we're getting all of the Grand Prix folks in. I think both of these men did a pretty good job. After all is said and done, though, Esfinge does beat Dijak in this Relampago match. Papa Oso, what did you think of Esfinge versus Dijak?
It wasn't a bad match. It was pretty good. It was so funny because when the minute Dijak walked out, I was like, "Is that Dijak?" I was like, "Good Lord!" It's like, it's like, okay, what's this gonna be? And I agree, Agent Lo-Fi. Yeah, it wasn't one of my favorite matches by any means, but I didn't hate it, and because I like Esfinge. I love his work. I love all that. Dijak is one of them. Dijak's, I could take him or not. I mean, take him or leave him. It's like, okay, whatever. But I mean, I enjoy watching Esfinge work, and I thought that his work with Dijak was decent. I thought it was, the match itself, whatever. But the in-ring work I thought was pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
Because, Esfinge is Esfinge. And I mean, it was great. I mean, I just, and you're right. These are two big dudes. I mean, they're so tall. I mean, I forget sometimes how tall Dijak is too, but yeah, they were like two giants in the ring. And I was like, okay, this could be okay. I get.
That's very true. Agent Lo-Fi and Dijak finally got the crowd to boo him like a rude
Yeah,
because
that was funny.
last time he was here, they cheered and I was like, he's the bad guy, you guys. Anyways.
So yeah, but it was okay. It wouldn't. I mean, like I said, it wasn't my favorite match of the night, and it was what it was. And yeah, and it was. I personally, I thought it was a definite sort of spotlight on Esfinge than it was Dijak. I thought this match felt like it was meant to make Esfinge look really good.
Yeah, I mean, again, we are slowly. This episode is getting, and all the other shows that happen at CMLL this week are to get our Grand Prix folks from Team International into the mix. And again, Esfinge defeats Donovan Dijak here. So we move on into our semi-main event now. Ooh, let's talk about this one. So this was for the Agent Lo-Fi was kind of shocked that Esfinge got the win. You know what? Usually when we get closer to Grand Prix, they always end up having, a mixed bag of which sides win. But, that is very true, though, Agent Lo-Fi. So in our semi-main event, this is for the New Japan Strong Tag Team Championships. So the challengers are Viano Dres Jr. and Hijo del Viano Dres, which love these two, taking on the champions of TJP and CMLL's Templario. So it's really, every time we get to see a New Japan Strong title bout, I'm excited. I think TJP and Templario are a really fun tag team. I had a good time with this one. So not to say that CMLL guys can't win these titles off of them, but I was like, Templario and TJP can run with this for a little bit longer. Like, I'm okay with it. But hot damn, this was a really good match between these four. This was really good. This is what I feel like championship bouts need to be, because, again, not to compare other promotions, but I was just like, some recent championship bouts, in like example from this past weekend, didn't feel like this. And but yeah, Agent Lo-Fi, I agree. Run this back every week, and I'm here for it. This was so good. All four of these guys got all the ideas, and I think that's what it is. I think why I love this match a lot is how creative we got and where we went with certain spots and things like that. Ultimately, it would be our champions who would retain here. Papa Oso, what did you think of our semi-main event here for the New Japan Strong Tag titles?
Badass. This was such a good match. God, it was so good. I only had one issue, and that was one of the Villanos over here. Their mask had a weird structure to it, and it bugged the crap out of me. It went underneath his nose, like a red strip underneath. I think it's the one in the back, but it had this weird thing, and it bugged the crap out of me every time the camera caught him. I was like, fix whatever that is, because it's bugging me. I was just like, oh my god. And I know that's stupid, but I mean, it did. It's I don't know what it was, but you see what I'm talking about on that? It's the pink mask in the back. It's got this red thing that goes underneath the nose. Looks like a mustache.
I was gonna say, it looks like a mustache.
but it was so weird. It bugged me. Oh my god, it bugged me so much. But no, the match itself was brilliant.
Absolutely. Again,
okay.
I would love these four to run it back again in some capacity. And honestly, This was a really good semi-main event. Yes. Agent Lo-Fi is like, yeah, that's Hijo del Villano Tres' mask.
Yeah, it is so weird. I don't know. It's my brain. I hyper fixated on it. Oh my god.
I'm gonna send you a picture, because it's when I first saw Hijo del Villano Tres, I was like, again, I'm a big video game character, especially I'm a Nintendo kid, so I grew up on the Nintendo. I'm gonna send you a picture. I'm like, Waluigi, is that you? But I digress. Yeah. It was. I'm gonna get a picture in a little bit, because this, it was so funny and I loved it so much. But again, our champions retained here, which leads us into our main event for this edition of Viernes Espectacular. And Yeah, Agent Lo-Fi closing out our final last match that we talked about. Nice to have Viano Tres Jr. back and not miss a beat. Yeah, that's also very true. It's like he'd been missing for a little bit, and it seems like he wasn't when he stepped in. But main event time. This was a trios bout, which saw, of course, the team of Místico, Neon, and Titan taking on the team of Ultimo Guerrero, Raise the Roof, Stuka Jr. and Gran Guerrero. Listen, I will never complain about Gran Guerrero's entrance and his gear and all that stuff he comes out in. Actually, all three of these guys, I was just like, yes, ma'am. Anyways, this was a proper way to send the crowd home happy. It has, of course, Mystico, who is our poster boy for CMLL. But honestly, anytime we get to see any formation of the Guerreros team up against an excellent, again, this is like, and Agent Lo-Fi, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm like, you have Ultimo Guerrero, an elder statesman, and the rest of the guys being a little bit older, taking on, Mystico is probably in his like mid 30s at this point, but still, the younger guys versus like the seasoned vets. This was such a great match. This was a proper main event for Viernes Espectacular, and this was exactly the way that you say. Yeah. And Agent Lo-Fi adding to this, another one you can run back every week and I won't complain. They are good at what they do. And my God, I had a great time with this. Ultimately, it would be Místico, Titan, and Neon picking up the victory over Ultimo Guerrero, Stuka Jr., and Gran Guerrero. But damn, I had a great time and a smile on my face the entire time watching everybody work their magic. Papa, what's up? Main event, what did you think?
Oh, yeah, me too. This is one of those, the make the wish on the shooting star type of match. You're like, oh, if I wish I might have these 6 people fight each other tonight. And boom, there it is. It's like, yay, my wish has come true. So anytime these folks are on, man, it's and I agree, what a way to end the night. I mean, truly, what a way to end the night. And it was just one of those, as they were announcing everyone that was coming out, I was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Okay. This is gonna be banging. And they never disappoint. Ever. Every time we've seen a mixture of these men fighting, they have never disappointed. Never. So you know what you're going to get, and you know it's going to be good. That's what I love about these guys. And they did. They delivered it, as they always do. And I agree. This they could run this every week, and I would be like, woo! Absolutely.
This was great. I had a great time with this one. And yeah, I was about to say too, Agent Lo-Fi, Neon and Titan pulled out some stuff that we have yet to see for them. I was like, ooh, they're learning. Yes, I'm here for it. But this was a fun main event. And honestly, I would love more than anything for them to continue to run with it, because holy crap, this was a fun main event, and a very fun way to send the crowd home happy. And yeah, I had a good time with this, which brings us to the end of our review portion of Viernes of CMLL. But don't touch that dial, kids, because we still got some other stuff to talk about as well. So, which makes me super excited to discuss. So let us preview this Friday's episode of Viernes Espectacular, shall we? Because Papa Oso, we've been here all summer. I know the text is tiny, but I had to fit everybody, especially in our Grand Prix. So please forgive me. But hot damn, the Grand Prix is finally upon us. So let's get through what is expected on the card for us this Friday, because Lord have mercy, it is going to be crazy. So kicking things off on this upcoming episode of Viernes Espectacular, we have Valiente Jr. and Capitan Suicida taking on Raider and Vegas Depredador. So that's going to be fun. Yes, Agent Lo-Fi. Let's go. Grand Prix freaking hype. So excited. Then in our second match, we have Esfinge and Dragon Rojo Jr. taking on El Valiente and Barbaro Cavernario. In our third match, we have Otimo Guerrero and Rey Bucanero teaming up to take on Averno and El Felino. So again, we are also getting our Aniversario participants involved in this. And then the main event and what is going to take the whole entire time, the men's Grand Prix is here. Holy crap. So we have Team Mexico, which this year, 2025, being represented by Máscara Dorada, Neon, Ángel de Oro, Titan, Templario, Atlantis Jr., Volador Jr., Místico, Difunto, and Zandukan Jr. And then representing Team World, representing AEW in Mexico, the Beast Mortos, representing AEW and Canada, Speedball Mike Bailey, which makes all the sense. And I'm like, Speedball and CMLL, you had me at hello. That is the one person I've always wanted to see here, and we're getting him here. Representing AEW and the USA is Leo Rush. Representing AEW in the US as well as Action Andretti, as well as Rocky Romero, representing AEW and the US. Representing Japan and New Japan Pro Wrestling is Taiji Ishimori. Representing the UK and Rev Pro is one of my personal favorites. Now we play Michael Oku. Representing the Philippines and a free agent, but working with New Japan Pro Wrestling is TJP. Representing the United States and MLW is Donovan Dijak. And finally, representing the UK and Rev Pro Wrestling, Robbie X. We're far enough into the route, Papa Osa. I'm fucking excited. The Grand Prix last year was amazing, and I cannot wait for this one. This is going to be like an hour and a half or an hour. It's going to be crazy. And yes, Agent Lo-Fi, we are going to get the battle of the bare feet with Difunto and Speedball. Like, who is the better barefoot wrestler? Listen, because Papa Osa, we know Speedball Mike Bailey. He be fighting with no shoes on. It's crazy. Like, so I am so excited. Grand Prix is finally here, and I think this is a really fun way to, take us to the end of, the month, so to speak, which is going to be freaking fantastic. Cannot wait. But this is also perfect setup because then, what is it, about 3 weeks later is Aniversario. So it's crazy out here. But that's going to be it for the CMLL, Viernes Espectacular portion. Really quickly, I do have some noticias, no slides, but I do want to give my thoughts on some certain things. So I would like to shout out Blue Panther for an amazing match that happened at Global Wars UK with Rev Pro over this past weekend. He was in a 5-on-5 tag team match, and it was beautiful to watch. It was great. And, the honor that the British wrestlers had for Blue Panther was amazing to watch. And then, of course, Persephone, even though she came up short at AEW and New Japan's Forbidden Door pay-per-view this Sunday, she was awesome in that fatal four-way for the TBS championship. She showed up and showed out. And you know what? She did awesome holding up against Alex Windsor, Bozilla, and Mercedes Moné. Like, it was such a good part. Of course, coming up in a couple of weeks is MLW's Fightland, which is including some of our CMLL talent, which also includes a Opera Cup match between Volador Jr. and Titan. So that match is going to be baller. And then this Friday, though, we do have CMLL talent involved in Ring of Honor's Death Before Dishonor pay-per-view. As stated before, the Ring of Honor Pure Championship is on the line as our champion, Taiga Style Lee Moriarty, takes on CMLL's Schwethla. And then in probably what's going to main event the show, we have Hechicero taking on Bandito for the Ring of Honor World Championship. So that is going to be a ballin' match. And then CMLL is not done because we got lots of other shows coming up. Of course, outside of Fightland, we got Fantastica Mania UK coming up in October. MLW and CMLL are doing a special like Dios de los Huertos type of show, which is going to be great. So lots of good CMLL action from everybody. And yeah, so that's going to be it for us here at Los Lobos de la Lucha. But before we go, let me preview what the remainder of the week looks like. So we are halfway through the week, but we still got 3 more events coming up very shortly. Tomorrow evening, Andrew and I will be here to jump across the pond to review Progress Wrestling's 100 Volts. So shout out to Progress for, always providing us with the goods and including us in their, publicities and stuff like that. We love Progress. It is so much damn fun. And it's going to be a good show to review. Then on Friday, the TNA boys of the Takedown Troop are here to review another episode of TNA as we are now beginning the Road to Victory Road, happening in a couple of weeks. And then we close out the weekend with a morning review from myself as I review Ring of Honor's Death Before Dishonor. So it's going to be a good time, and I'm excited. But that's going to be it for us here at Los Lobos de la Lucha this week. There we go. I had to get the picture off. So, from myself, Papa Oso Adolfo, who is taking a little bit of a hiatus, but will be back in a couple of weeks, as well as the rest of the BC WrestlePod family. Remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay iconic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We will see you next Wednesday for our review of the Grand Prix. But until then, sayonara, adios, and as always, peace.
Me tiene loco en la cabeza cuando me tocas. Siento que todo está bien, pero en verdad yo no sé si tú